Did she send that email to me?
Yeah, she just sent it like
Oh,
5
great.
minutes
Well,
ago.
it'd be better to have her here for all the things that Councilman Cahill was bringing up a few minutes ago. Let's,
Questions I have? Oh, okay.
You want me to put in the signature?
Okay, all right.
okay. Paul Adams.
Hi, Bob. How's it going? Hey, Paul. Hello. Still have the right sheet.
How are you tonight? Fine. Just learned that Jamie is going to be here tonight. She's going to show up about 7:45. There's been a lot of discussion back and forth and some confusion on the part of the board about when and where and how they have to start investigating. And Councilman is adamant about opposing any special meetings.
Yes, it's really nice. Is it necessary to spend money to get these grants?
Yes. No.
We can't work with those workers?
We can't do it. The town has to. So they have to provide all the data and whatever. I mean, there are things we can probably help with, but that's still TBD.
Okay, because that came up at the board meetings that I had.
Yeah, and I think when we talk to Jamie tomorrow, we can find out where and how best to do that.
Yes, and could it reduce the cost?
Probably not.
I also have to tell you that I watched pretty much the whole meeting and some of the things that Supervisor said about trying to form a green energy community. There's really cast aspersions at me personally. I'm pretty keen about that.
I intend to speak tonight, but it's going to be brief.
Well, I think they only get 5 minutes tonight, right?
Yeah, normally they assign 2 separate sign-ups, one to speak and one just to
Yeah,
sit.
they do, yeah.
Apparently they've done away with that.
Well, who's presenting the motion for the
That was part of the discussion. One of the councilmen said that they ought not to be even having a resolution tonight because they haven't had a workshop to talk about it since the meeting with E&L. So they're not going to, I'm pretty sure they're not going to have. So, yes.
We did the main 19 regular town board meeting minutes last time. This means 16 that we didn't have enough.
Somebody will.
There you go. Okay. All right. What do you think, Sharon?
I'm in the Leon.
Let's go. There, okay. Well, let's bring the Thursday, June 16th, Webster Town Board meeting to order. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tally, roll call, please.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Here.
Councilman Abbott?
Here.
Councilwoman Kirkcaldy? Present. Councilman Cagle?
Here.
Councilwoman Wynn? Here. Town Attorney Genesi?
Present.
Okay, next up is the open to the floor for 5 minutes. Any citizen who would like to take the podium. Now, I'm going to go by the order in which people signed in, and I'm assuming that they want to speak, but please let me know if you don't. So the first person that signed in was Brandon Sosa at 361 Anna Circle.
Yeah,
And you do want to speak?
yes, please.
Jump on up, Brandon.
I have some handouts, can I pass these out to you guys to kind of go with what I'm through, what I'm talking? Can I help you guys?
Bring 'em on.
I'm gonna have
Visuals are always great.
You don't have to give them just one.
Thank you, Brandon.
So, Brandon Sosa, I live at 361 Anna Circle. And my property is directly adjacent to a town pond access road. And that's kind of what I want to talk about tonight. On the front page, you'll see some pictures of it. Kind of overall view, I want to talk about the site plan and then kind of the town maintenance of that trail. The surface of that trail and the site plan was supposed to be paved. It's also supposed to be a lot more areas than where it currently is. And then in general, it hasn't been maintained at all really this year. So it's kind of a timeline of things. So June 1, downloaded the site plan from the town's website. That's a picture right to the right on the top. You can see it indicates a paved town access trail. When we closed on our house, our site map is down on the bottom. It shows a paved access trail. That was conducted on 7/21 and closed on 8/18, 2021. During our midpoint construction meeting, that all the site plans still showed a paved trail. And then at the time we went under contract on our house in February 2021, that also showed a paved trail. I've been discussing and exchanging emails with members of the town, and then recently, I think this week, Josh stated that on 7/6/2021, in a meeting to approve Section 2 of Westwood Estates, that it was voted to change the site plan for Section 1. So the summarized changes for Section 1 of Westwood Estates site plan were made during a meeting to approve the site plan for Section 2. In the roll call, I don't think any members of the neighborhood were present. And at this time, 100% of the lots were under contract and 90% of the homes were already built and closed on. So then, in reference to kind of the location of the trail, you can see on the next page, the trail ends where it was supposed to be paved, and then according to the site plan, it's supposed to be gravel pretty much all the way around the pond, and there's no gravel there, and there's no mention of it in the resolution to change the site map. So in general, I have some questions for the town. Kind of, what is the process to modify site plans after they've already been approved? What is the process to modify site plans once construction is started and is almost completed? Is there any requirement to send out notice to the town that these site plans are changing? And then, can the site plan for a completed section of the subdivision be changed essentially once it's already completed and they're approving another part of it? And kind of also in general, if all this is okay, what message does it really send to homeowners of Webster and potential homeowners of Webster? Will it entice you to buy a lot in the neighborhood and then we'll change it kind of after you close on it pretty much. And then so moving on to talk about the trail maintenance. You can see the pictures, there's pretty much loose gravel, there's weeds growing pretty much all through the trail. I don't think the town's been out at all this year, so pretty much the burden's fallen to me and other homeowners to change or maintain these trails. And also, in addition to the trails, I think the town owns about 10 feet of property on either side that no one's been by to mow. And this is between two residential houses, so it would look pretty awful if we weren't maintaining it. You know, I think I got here, Town Code Section 225-3 says it can't be over 8 inches, else I guess you get in trouble or something. But you know, it would be much higher than 8 inches if it was only mowed twice a year. And then so on the back, on the last page, you see some more pictures of the trail. Kind of the one I want to highlight is the one in the middle. You can see this is where I mow to keep some of the tall grass off of my fence. So pretty much mice and you know, anything that might be in tall grass doesn't creep into my backyard. But what I want to highlight that is because that's what the trail would look like in our residential street if the town only came by twice a year. So kind of in closing, if there's anything the town board can do to help get this trail paved as it was supposed to be in all of the site plans, that would be great. And if not, what can we do to help maintain this trail more so it's not falling to the homeowners?
Brandon, thank you very much. I got to tell you, in my 2.5 years, I've never seen somebody come prepared for their 5 minutes and do it in 5 minutes. You know, you got my attention. I'll get together with DPW, highway, with the contractor and try to figure this all out. And I'll get back to you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, and like I said, you may have just signed in because you thought you had signed in, but if you want to speak, Stephen
Gaudioso.
Gaudioso. Sorry about that, Stephen.
That's where it's been butchered worse than that by a lot of people. Good evening, my name is Steve Gaudioso and I live at 1077 Everwild View in the town of Webster. I'm here this evening to express support for the town taking action to become a climate-smart community. I happen to personally believe that the science that affirms that climate change is occurring. However, even for those who don't agree with me, it is abundantly evident that governments and individuals globally are taking actions to address this issue. And New York State is no exception. With the passage of the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act of July 2019, New York set out a series of goals to reach net zero carbon emissions by 2050. While many of these actions intended to address the issue can be voluntary and low to no cost, the more impactful actions will require significant investment and resources. Fortunately, the federal government and the state are making funds available to carry out these initiatives. One such funding source provides no match required grants through the New York State Energy Research and Development Authority, aka NYSERDA. However, to potentially access these funds, municipalities need to first adopt the 10-point CSC pledge as was claimed to you by the Department of Justice consultants last month. I therefore encourage the board to formally adopt the pledge and to begin the process of earning points toward the awarding of these grants, which will benefit the community and its taxpayers for the work that will need to be done. I would add parenthetically that there are citizens who are willing to help with whatever is needed to make that happen. Thank you.
Thanks, Stephen. Had to be tough to follow, Brandon. Nice grab. You did a good job. Next up, Daniel Abbas. Did I pronounce that correct?
Go.
All right.
I'll be very brief. I can't add much to what Steve said, but I'm Dan Abbas, 644 Midship Circle. I too would urge the board to pass the CSC resolution that's before you this evening. Not only do I believe it would be good for our community to pursue clean energy. I think the timing is good because, as Steve mentioned, passing the CSC would make it easier for us to access funding that's available from the state through NYSERDA and in the Clean Energy Community Program, and also funding that will shortly be available from the federal government through the bipartisan infrastructure law. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. And I think I can guess this one. Rebecca Collins, would you happen to want to get up here tonight?
No, I didn't have any plans to say anything.
Well, then I would have lost that bet, Rebecca.
I
Good to
just-
see you.
Thank you, I just came to.
Did they do a good job?
Yeah, they
They
did.
did. Okay. All right, well then, is there anybody else who didn't sign in, who was in attendance, that would like to get up on the podium for 5 minutes of anything? All right. Then next up is we have some board minutes to consider for approval. The first set, I'm going to have to step away from on this. Whoever was in attendance. Let me make the motion.
Actually, this is going over the.
I was at this one. It's the 19th
I
that I was
confused
at.
you on it, I apologize.
That's why I was like, the 19th, I was like, yes, I have seen the 16th, I was at the 16th, it was very important. I've seen them, they're fine. Saw them last on June 2nd, and they were fine, we just didn't have majority. I make a motion that we approve the May 16th, 2022 board meeting minutes. Second.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilman Cahill.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn. Abstain. Councilwoman McCarthy. Abstain. Councilman Abbott.
Aye.
And that was at both of these. I make a motion to approve the May 26th, 2022 town board workshop minutes.
Second. Supervisor Flaherty.
Aye.
Councilwoman McCarthy. Aye. Councilman Abbott.
Aye.
Councilman Cahill. Councilwoman Wynn.
Aye. And I would move that we approve the June 2nd, 2022 town board meeting minutes as submitted.
Second.
Councilwoman McCarthy. Aye. Councilman Abbott.
Aye.
Councilman Cahill.
Abstain.
Councilwoman Wynn.
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty.
Aye. You are right up, caught up, aren't you? There's no workshop last week. Nicely done, Bill. All right, Patty, I think it was you, right? The bills?
I did, I reviewed the bills, everything was in order, and I would make a motion that we pay them.
Second.
Councilwoman McCarthy.
Aye.
Councilman Abbott.
Aye.
Councilman Cahill.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn.
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty.
Aye. And I reviewed the prepaid warrants as submitted by the Director of Finance. I think you might have also gotten
I
it
did.
this week. It's a new thing, right, Paul?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'll make a motion that we approve them, because they look good to me.
Second?
Supervisor Flaherty.
Aye.
Councilwoman McCarthy.
Aye.
Councilman Abbott.
Aye.
Councilman Cahill.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn.
Aye.
And it's just a finishing touch, there's a couple of things that have come up, Paul. These are from the 12/31/2021 annual audit. Every year we get 2 or 3, like best practice. Yeah. Okay.
There's always room to tighten up internal control.
If you aren't getting better, you're getting worse.
Never is tight enough.
You got it. I think the next 2 resolutions, they're obviously tied to each other because they relate to MO65, one of the READY grant projects down in Sandburg Park. Actually, it's beyond Sandburg Park, isn't it?
Yes.
It's outside, it's down where the exit.
Further west.
So, Art, I'm gonna hand the baton to you to kind of explain what's going on here.
This is a resolution to, it's actually a rebid for the MO65 Ready project, pump station improvements. The first bids came in above the threshold for Wick's Law, which is $500,000, and this is just a rebid for that. Being separated out into 2 contracts, electrical and construction.
And that's essentially is an overview of both second and third line items tonight.
No, it is not. That's just number 2.
Okay. Would you like to explain number 3
We can
also?
go to number 3, absolutely. So number 3 is a resolution for the supervisor to sign an amendment for Bartlett Judas regarding the fees to rebid, document the effort hours included into prepare the documents to rebid, and also the construction observation when we go to actual construction.
And I know I just went over the minutes. It was a June 2nd that we did the resolution that said we can't accept the bid as it came in.
That's correct.
Okay.
So there's an additional cost of it?
There will be an additional cost because the documents all have to be redone. We split up into 2 contracts, so it's just 1 contract.
So what's that cost?
I do. That is, the effort hours are estimated at $5,000. I looked through the effort hours with our engineers. It looks appropriate.
And I don't want to reiterate from June 2nd, but probably was in the minutes. We had a little discussion after we did the resolution to not accept the bid, that this is potentially a reality of $5 gas when it used to be $2, the inflation factor and all that.
Yeah,
So this is a method to try to split them up and get a more reasonable bid to what the engineers have estimated, said.
correct. And it will, most importantly, get us in compliance with Wick's law.
Any comments or questions by the town board prior to me making these motions?
Thank you for that explanation.
Okay, I make a motion to publish in the Webster Herald on June 22nd.
Yeah, that would be
June 22nd, edition. A notice to solicit bids for the town of Webster's Ready Project MO 65 Lake Road Pump Station Improvements General Construction Contract number 1A and Electrical Construction Contract number 1B.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilwoman Catali?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wood?
Aye.
And then
I would make the resolution because we're all.
Oh, Jesus, sorry.
It's a resolution. I move to, for the supervisor to authorize an amendment with Barton and Judas related to the Lake Road Pump Station construction bid, ready MO 65.
Second.
Councilwoman Catali?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill? Councilwoman Lynn?
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye. And Dolly, could you just add to that from Councilman Cahill's question that the amendment is really related to the additional $5,000 fee to split the contracts? Everybody okay with that? Anytime there's money related, I'd like to have it specifically over beyond the minutes. Okay, I'm going to go out of order because I'd like to say the 4th resolution, the last, the 5th and 6th are kind of low-hanging fruit. So I'm going to make a motion to recycle the following items from the sewer department: a Dell Power Edge computer, tag number 04458, a Dell computer monitor, tag number 03893, a Time Trax time clock, tag number 04026, and an ACC teleprinter, tag number 03924.
Second.
Who made the second?
Bill.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Catali?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Lynn?
Aye.
And I also make a motion to recycle the following items from the finance department. I can't believe I'm looking at this. A typewriter. Wow.
Sandy's clear about that.
Unbelievable.
Damn it, you're retired.
Does it still work?
Put it on your.
Thank you, Arts.
The ribbon is right out.
Is it a Smith Corona?
Put it in a museum.
I was gonna say, we can start a museum with
My
these.
first electric typewriter was a Smith Corona.
Well, it's a typewriter that we're, believe it or not, recycling. Tag number is 3509.
Second. Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilwoman Lynn?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Catali?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Now, it is 7:49, and I gotta say, Jamie, for sure, you said you'd be here about 7:45. Nice. All right. So this couldn't have worked out better as far as I'm concerned, as far as just the timing and how this is the last formal item on the agenda tonight, because this is going to be kind of a hybrid workshop type discussion and some Q&A, followed by a potential for us to make a motion for to pursue the climate smart community resolution with, I think it's with the New York State Department of DC. And the reason I say it's kind of a hybrid of that is that we did have a presentation at the May 12th Town Board Workshop. It was Jamie Bouchard, who's in attendance tonight, and who flew, drove, trained, whatever, from long ways away to make it tonight. And the
Chautauqua County, I flew in from a watershed meeting there, which we gave this afternoon, so it
Yeah.
worked out. I'm here, my driver dropped me off. I wheeled my luggage in, so here I am.
That's awesome, because, and Jamie is with Barton and LaJudas, and you can go back to the tape on May 12th, she did a very nice presentation for the board. I think the tape is on our on the town website, PowerPoint that was presented. When Jamie didn't think she could make it tonight, she had another person on call, Ms. Lowenstein, who we could have called if we needed to answer questions. So whether, Jamie, we will need your assistance during this part of the process, we'll kind of gauge from the discussion board. Recap, as far as I'm concerned, from May 12th. Barton and LaJudas was in going over the various grant opportunities that the town could pursue, really related to the $31 million Phase 2 sewer plant project. Because we are doing it through a performance or energy performance contract through Article 9 in New York State, something has never been done by the town of Webster. A very innovative process. It really opens up some avenues for funding that we wouldn't have had in your typical linear engineer, put it out to bid to construct. That's layman term. So Ken Knudsen from Barton and LaJudas did the part of the presentation really that kind of gave 3 or 4 different categories of grants that really the town had never looked at before because we had never done projects that could apply to that. When Ken got to one of the specific areas of grants, he handed the baton to you, Jamie, because it really, some of the grants, and I was surprised how wide scope it could be with the state. You put yourself as a municipality into such a better position to get awarded the grant and or get awarded more than you would have gotten if you register with the state as a climate smart community. That night, I said, why couldn't they have branded it something else? Now, we had some speakers here tonight that loved the fact that it's called Climate Smart Community because it's climate and all that stuff. We have some other people that have reached out to me that absolutely hate the idea because it says Climate Smart. Me, I don't know what you want to call me, an agnostic. I'm looking for ways to get more grant money to the town on the $31 million project. I'm looking for ways, Josh, to get grant money to the town on the comprehensive plan, which apparently this would potentially help with. I'm looking for ways that as we do the comprehensive plan, when we put together a subcommittee about energy and what we're going to do in Webster, that maybe we have something like this to, kind of discern the 119 different things that Climate Smart means. So that's what I'm looking for. I don't have a dog in the fight of loving Climate Smart. I don't have a dog in the fight of hating Climate Smart. Jamie, I don't want to speak for you. You said that night you had some questions from the board. What does this mean if we do this resolution and then we register with the state? What are we committing to? How much money is going to be out of our pocket? Which of these 119 are we going to be held to the fire on, no pun intended? And you said, no. So you want to become active in moving up the scope of the 119 and become a bronze level, which I think there's 80 some odd in the state that are bronze level. Well, that's a different story. And if we do that, that might mean that we have to expend some money. I heard that to do this, we don't have to expend any money. Now, Mary, you took the 119 items that Jamie had given to the board at Councilman Cahill's request that night, May 12th, and we gave them to all the board members so they could see them before tonight. And Mary, I don't want to put, you were going to try to do some semblance of a rubric, whatever, to say, hey, do you know that as a town right now, we're doing 2 of them out of 119. We're doing 20 of them. Were you able, I know it was on short notice, so I'll hand the baton.
Yeah, Josh and I looked through the list, and it looks like there's about 20 that we're either actively pursuing or have already started to complete. Whether we're in the process of going to a planning effort that would address certain things, or we've already taken on capital projects to start the improvements. Just a couple of quick examples. The library's done a lot of lighting and HVAC improvements lately, which that gets points for doing that in your buildings. Sandbar Park's going to have new LED lighting down there. There's a lot of features for the wastewater treatment plant or water resource recovery facility that will address these different topics. We're headed into a comprehensive plan where we're going to be looking at smart growth and other sustainable features. There's discussion of creating more roadways in town that are friendlier to walking and bikes. And then we do have EPOD districts. Some of these things are talking about natural areas and protecting them. Friends of Webster Trails are always protecting our existing natural resources. So there's a lot of things that Webster is already focused on and has a priority in their vision to put these things into action, or have already started putting them into action. So it's definitely an interesting program. It reminds me a lot of LEED certified buildings and going through that process of finding things that make sense to implement and not necessarily breaking the bank or stretching too far to get there, but things that with a little bit of stretching you can get to them and make positive impacts on the community. So that's how I interpret the program in my brief look at it.
Yeah, and you weren't given a lot of time, and I appreciate it. I mean, honest, Mary, even that you had that update on short notice from me, and the fact that, Jamie, you're here when I reached out to you on very short notice, just in case we need to bring you out of the bullpen to answer any questions or from the board. But obviously at this point, those 20 or so items either in process or completed, we haven't gone and started to put the points associated with each one of them to figure out if we pass this resolution, the next step is then going to the state and saying we've already said we want to be it, will you make us a community climate smart? It's possible those 20 we're doing might have points that already make us bronze. I doubt it. I would doubt it. But we haven't gone through that calculation.
Correct, and there's ranges on all these scores, and I'm not really familiar with how
Right.
you'd score on the low end or the high end, but
Yeah. So, other than that, I just want to make sure that if I am making a motion on this tonight, I certainly don't want to put the board members in a position where they don't feel as if they have enough information one way or the other to say yay, nay. I certainly would rather not have abstained, so if it's something that we need to do some more. That's what I'm leading to. So shoot away, because we have the people here to answer. Sure.
So everybody wants a, climate smart community. Some of my concerns are what cost is that going to be to the residents of our town. So one of the questions I had is I looked up Senate Bill S6843C. And that's very concerning because that will ban gas hookups on all new construction starting in 2024. I don't know if you're familiar with that bill or not. But that, to me, is the direction that a lot of our downstate politicians are taking. And you know, coming from a construction background, all new buildings starting in, I believe, 2025 will have to be all natural electric hookups. And that's going to be devastating on the construction industry. So the bill was sponsored by Brian Kavanaugh and co-sponsored by 4 other Democrats. So that's the direction that they're going, which is very, very concerning to millions of people across this state. So one of my questions is the New York State Climate Committee involved in this smart communities in any way? Do you know?
No, they are not. So the Climate Action Council, maybe, is that the,
No, I said communities. Yeah.
is that affiliated with this the
Right.
legislation that you just
Yeah.
referred to? They're different. So this program actually, it started before really any of that legislation went through. I'm trying to remember when the program, really the beginnings of it were at least 10 years ago. And it was through DEC, but it certainly has become more of a multi-agency effort. So DEC, DOS, all the other state agencies that have, basically some synergy with momentum to look for, efficiencies in how we use our resources, whether they be natural, energy resources, transportation, things of that nature. So they are 2 separate platforms. And this program is, again, mostly a multi-state effort, a multi-state agency effort to, again, align, kind of, I would like to say it as best practices for efficiencies. And the 119 activities are kind of how I like to review it as like an a la carte menu or menu of options of, again, just how can you get multiple benefits and achieve multiple, again, co-benefits in things that you're already doing. For example, doing a natural resources inventory, right? That is a separate type of an area, and again, a lot of municipalities are pursuing those types of activities. So I hear your concern about there being the affiliation with these 2 kind of trajectories with legislation, but this is more of a programmatic effort.
Okay. Well, that would lead me into my next question. PE3 action, energy code enforcement training. So where do you, so you're going to train our code enforcement officers with respect to energy code enforcement? Can you define that a little bit more for me, please?
So that, so you're still referring to the climate smart communities, or is that
Yeah.
the clean energy
Well, actually, no,
communities?
it's on your list, so I was just curious if you could define what energy code enforcement training is, what's involved in that.
So again, that is one of the activities that you can choose from on that list of 119 actions, so you don't have to comply with that, but that is to look at the stretch code, which is another option for municipalities that would like to implement. There are some communities that want to achieve some of these, basic type of climate action strategies, right? And that is an educational forum to examine the New York stretch code. And that training is available to municipalities, and if you attend the training, you can get credit for that educational opportunity. But it's not a requirement, that's only.
Well, I understand that, but I was just saying, what would that have to do with, like a code enforcement officer would go, he would get trained, what would he do with that knowledge?
See if it's something that is palatable to the municipality for enforcement.
So let's say, for instance, that this bill passes, right, and all houses have to switch from natural gas to electric. We could have a code enforcement officer in reality go out and check to make sure these houses have switched, and if they have not switched, take appropriate action, because he's received training.
If that is what is desired.
Thank you very much.
Well,
In order for us to qualify for this, we have to meet all 10 of these requirements, correct?
There are priority actions to get into the first step is obviously the municipal resolution. And there's quite a few municipalities that have adopted the resolution but have not actually moved forward with any of these other action areas. They kind of are in a holding pattern of we've got the resolution passed, but we actually haven't done any of the work on it essentially, establishing a task force, a coordinator. But to move forward, to get the other points that Mary had noted that you could potentially get, there are these prerequisites, so to say, to enter into that.
If I understand this correctly, we have to agree to at least complete the 10 items on the pledge?
I think you just pledge.
You're pledging, so it's in good faith that we are going to do the best of our ability to look to support these principles. So it's a policy statement essentially.
Okay, then explain to me what climate smart land use is going to be.
So climate smart land use could be what, in some cases, you may already be doing in terms of like, for example, stormwater management, looking at ways to better manage rainfall and kind of reduce that impervious cover. And I think a lot of it you're already doing with the MS4 program. So that's an example of how to look at your land use and ways to kind of ameliorate climate conditions.
Okay.
And how much are you, your company, do you have any like, portion, do we have to pay your company for this research, or are you just doing it out of your good heart?
Yes. I am passionate about the subject, so I am here. I'm also a resident of the municipality, which is also why I'm here this evening, because I care. But yes, I think there are services available if they're, I think personally a lot of these activities a municipality can pursue with existing staff. Obviously there's a lot of capacity issues at the local level. I'm sure Josh and Mary have other responsibilities, and Climate Smart is not, it's just one of the other things that they would have to be looking at. But I think if there's a way to find synergy in what you're doing already, I think maybe some of the things that Mary is working on with the MS4 program, that she could, if she could pull it into some of her daily workload, it could be something that is assumed through existing staff resources. But obviously there's other resources that could be made available to the municipality for other, like, value, the extra, effort hours that would go into
So
that.
when are you gonna get the grant?
Right. Well,
No.
I would say your existing staff is probably doing a lot of this work already. It's just a matter of taking the time to sit down. And again, it's, to say a statement like that is,
So how much are we planning, like to put in before we get all these back? Is that a net positive for the future?
yeah, yes. I think you're doing a lot of this work. It's just a matter of the effort hours that go into documenting it, which is what is the requirement of the program, is to show the work. You're doing the work, you just have to show the work. And so that's really more of an effort hours on the staff internally. You're welcome.
And, along those lines, what you have in your packet is just an excerpt of what was presented on May 12th by Jenny Lowenstein and Ken Knudsen within the $31 million project. Actually, at the end of that meeting, I said, Jamie, you live here in town. Boy, I'd love to grab coffee with you. You were nice enough to grab coffee with me. And because she is a citizen of the town, because she works for Barton LaJudas and is involved in the sewer plant aspect, because we're moving forward on the comprehensive plan, I certainly wanted to sit down with Jamie and get her ideas for as we move forward on that. Some things that we could look at in the comprehensive plan. The 2008 comprehensive plan had, I think, 9 initiatives. We went over 9 on those. I don't like the definition of insanity. We're not going to go to a new comprehensive plan and put initiatives on there unless we can realistically do that. So that was one of the reasons I wanted to sit down with Jamie and talk to her after the May 12th. Now, with that being said, Bill, we've heard from you, John, Jenny, Patty, do you have anything?
I don't have any questions. No. I see the value in this.
Yeah, and I'm going to be, being fair, and it kind of goes into what I had said, I said it back on May 12th, I've said it tonight here again. Climate smart. Either you hear it and you love it and you really don't care what the details are, or you hate it and you don't care what the details are. That's the world we live in, unfortunately. We had some people come up and talk about how great it is. Being fair, I did get a resident who sent me this. Concerns about a climate-smart community. One, cost. I'm going to stop there because there's three things this person's concerned with. Unless I'm missing something, what costs are the town committing to do the resolution and register our committee as a climate-smart?
There are no costs. It's just the time of your effort hours and moving that forward.
Somewhat, Mary can be the document as we register. These are the 20 things we've already done in the one night.
Right.
The second concern this citizen had, creation of a lot of paperwork, task force, certifications that result in nothing but busy work for people, let alone potential useless new positions. I don't even know if I can have Jamie answer that. I'll go backwards.
Well, I would put that question to Mary and Josh that have looked over this list of 10 items. What, in your estimation, from a time and manpower standpoint, would be involved to complete these 10 steps? I know you've said that we've already done some of these, we're already actively involved, but we make this commitment. What's your projection from manpower and man-hours to continue?
I guess I don't have a good understanding of the reporting requirements. I know some programs through the state have cumbersome reporting, and then I don't know, this can be streamlined. I'm just not familiar with how much effort it would be.
So I went to the website to look for additional information, and it was pretty generic. I didn't see a lot of specifics in there. And my other concern is what happens 6 months down the road and the state of New York changes what their requirements are going to be for these grants with respect to climate smart communities. I hate to refer back to that bill, but that's the mindset, in my opinion, of a lot of the politicians, especially downstate. And it really, really alarms me. It really does. And that's why I'm very apprehensive to sign on to, climate smart communities, given the fact that, we really don't have a lot of specifics. I do greatly appreciate the information that you have given the board. It's forced me to go and do some additional research and put some questions together, and I appreciate you answering those questions. But at this time, I'm just very, very apprehensive to go forward.
And then, unless anybody else has anything on the second one, creation of a lot of paperwork, task forces, level of potential useless new positions. The third item this citizen said was changes to energy supply or options, attempts to artificially disrupt natural gas hookups, gasoline, or even proven methods of energy creation for unproven, expensive, unreliable, quote, green, unquote, sources of energy will directly impact the town's citizens' pocketbooks and quality of life for negligible to no change to the environment. If this was just a way to have clean streets, parks, and water, that to me falls under the expected responsibilities of local government. Reviewing the material on the NYS website for climate smart communities makes me nervous of expansion beyond these and giant multiple resources. So that's the other side of the story. From people that got up and said, oh, they were very for it. This gentleman is not for it. I'm going to say it again, and then we'll go around and tie this up. You take a look at the element, the pledge. 5 out of the 10 have the word climate in it. Let's see, 1, 2, 5, 6, and like I said, people are gonna read those 10. First of all, and Councilman Kale, with all respect, you said, how are we gonna complete those? I don't think we could ever complete those. That's a subjective term. I don't know what that means, completing those. But that is a polarizing thing. And you've seen it back on May 12th, you've seen it in the room tonight, you've seen it from what people have written in. And I've already said I'm an agnostic to this. I'm just trying to, I listened to your presentation, I listened to Ken Knitz's presentation, I saw the benefits this gives, the possible benefits to the town with no real commitment that's tying the town to costs or anything. I thought it made a lot of sense. But that's an opinion.
I would also add that everything I've heard, by taking this pledge, we are not bound to complete any of those 10. We're just pledging that we keep in mind as we move forward and take all of those things into consideration when we approach different projects and plans. Did I hear that correctly?
Okay, who would be the arbiter or the judge that says you've completed building a climate smart community?
It's not expected. No.
So, anyway, Bill, anything else?
I'm just real apprehensive about it. It's awful new, and we're just hearing about it as a board. And I just have some concerns of the things that they're asking us to do. And they want us to pledge that we'll do it. I have a hard time doing that right now.
Okay. Eddie, anything else?
No.
John, anything else?
No, I've expressed my concerns of the trajectory of the politicians down the state, and I can't get behind this.
Jenny?
So right now, we are voting to lock in, or we're voting just to look into it? I just want to make it clear. So we're not,
Jenny?
doing-
Do you have this in your mind?
Yes.
Step 1, pass the CSE pledge as a municipal resolution, and then attend pledge rally. Step 2, register your community after this resolution is adopted. Complete the online registration, which I take it Mary and Josh will do. They've already started to assess for 119. So, I'll tell you what, because I really don't want to, this is the beautiful thing about having town government and 5 elected officials. Resolutions can pass 5-0, resolutions can never even hit the ground, nobody makes the motion. I've seen both ends of those spectrums in my 2.5 years on the board, where we looked at the motion and said, none of us have an appetite for this, and we just scuttled it. But with that being said, I'm going to make a motion, and then we'll be done. I make a motion for the town of Webster to pursue a climate-smart community with New York State DEC.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilwoman Talby,
Aye.
Councilman Abbott,
Nay.
Councilman Cahill,
Nay.
Councilwoman Wynn. Abstain.
Yeah.
Make a decision?
You can only abstain if there's some sort of a conflict or.
Because, like, I'm for the environment too and everything, don't get me wrong, but this is something that, I'm worried what our community is gonna be, cost our communities to be in this, clean-free environment. We saw all that, and now it's got to be.
No, we could have gone in a different order. The vote would have been the same. Jenny, as elected official, I hope your vote wouldn't have been different if you were the first or the fifth.
Why, like I said, that's why I wanted to abstain, because I need to do more research.
Well,
I hear what
I don't wanna
I hear
go
what
through-
you have to say, and I
I-
hear
I
both
better-
sides. So,
I think part of that research was the workshop presentation that was given earlier and the information that we were given to go do independent research and then following up with everything that was sent to us and is also included in our packets with the checklist and everything else.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much more research we could do. It's what we have is what's in front of us.
And look,
Well,
unless I'm
and-
missing
and-
something, if we
But
if we turn this down tonight, the state doesn't say you never, ever get a chance to do a resolution on this again.
Of course not.
Okay, think about that, Jen.
So you can vote no, and we can still bring this back up later.
Exactly.
So,
you should vote how you want to vote, Pen.
Well, just to let the public knows that, I'm strongly supportive of the clean environment that we are living in, for our generation and everything. But I just don't want our community have to put forth all the money, to do this, and we have no guarantee that it's gonna be efficient or sufficient, to get the money back. And I don't want our children to be paid for this because of the, the unknown we have. So right now, I'm gonna vote no.
Okay. We got it done. And that, my friends, completes the formal agenda tonight. I do want to, Charlie, under section, what is it, executive session, contracts, and I would like to invite Mary, I guess, Mary and Josh. And Paul. All right,
Is this,
the contract.
well, not just any contract, but this is a what, contract or somehow?
No. It is a municipal bid contract.
The only way that would be appropriate for executive session is if it's, there's a possibility.
Then it's potential litigation.
Correct.
That's stemming off of this. potential
Make something up.
There would be potential litigation between 105, Public Officers Law, subdivision 1. Subdivision D.
Okay.
105, 1D.
And I am making that motion to go into executive session for what Charlie just said. Of course, Charlie. I didn't. Well, Charlie, in any executive session, is almost like the MVP. I made that motion. Does anybody want to?
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn? Aye. Councilwoman Capelli? Aye. Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
All right, and
It's at
that
8:20.
8:23, so I need to, run a little longer than I thought. We're not going to do the round table tonight, or do call-ins. So that will conclude tonight's formal meeting, and then when we come out of executive session, the meeting is over, so there is no reason for anybody to come back for the rest of the meetings. The meeting is over. Thank you, everybody.
Oh, you're welcome. No, I better be able to get here.
Jamie, thank you.
You're welcome.
We're talking about
Parking
building it and
tonight,
stuff.
so you're welcome. Same here. Oh, you're very welcome. I'm glad I was able to.
We're off of Jackson Road.
Here, this is very exciting. Oh, yeah, it's good. It's fine. You're good.
Or if you heard wrong, there's something to
It's really interesting.
Well, across the state, it goes all the way down to,